Right, so we continue here with algebra and we are looking at simplifying algebraic expressions. But this time we are going to have many terms. And when you have many terms, you want to combine these fractions, right? Using the LCD. So there are some rules that we have to focus on. The first rule is that you need to check the denominators whether you can factorize them or not. So if you have something like, let's say 1 over x squared plus x plus 1 over x to the power of 2 minus 4. So these denominators, they can factorize. So you just factorize this one and you will factorize the other one. Right, something like this, minus 2 plus 2 and my x minus 2. Right. Maybe let me just change this sum a little bit. Let's say we have, I want a plus 2 here. So let's say we had 2 there. So when you factor out an x, you have a 2 here, such that we have at least one bracket that is the same. Okay, now Rule 2 says that you need to find the LCD by looking at the denominators of all terms. So what I will say is, I'll say that on the side, my LCD for such an expression will be whatever is here in this denominator, which we have a x, we have a x plus 2. And whatever is here in this denominator, but you shouldn't take what is in common with the other denominator. So because you already have an x plus 2 that is in common, you don't have to write this one. So you just write the other one in your LCD, which is x minus 2. So that forms your LCD. So another way of looking for the LCD is you would first write down what is in common and write everything else that is not in common. So we say that bracket x plus 2 was in common, so we wrote it down, and the x is left, then you write it down, and this bracket was also left, it's not common, and you write that down as well. All right, so that's what you have to do. You need to find your LCD after factorizing. The third thing that you'd have to do is you need to multiply. Now, each term, you multiply this term and the other term with whatever is not in the LCD. So you're gonna check this denominator. So I'm gonna look at this denominator and I'll say, well, I have an x and a bracket x plus 2. But from this, in order for this denominator to look like this LCD, I just need this bracket x minus 2. So what I will do is I'll multiply this term by that bracket. And I'll say, well, for this term, I have x plus 2, x minus 2, which is these part. In order for that denominator to look like the LCD, I need the x, so I'll multiply by the x. So rule number 3 or step number 3, you multiply each term with what's missing from the denominator. So I'm going to rewrite this here. I had 1 over x bracket x plus 2. Then I had plus 1 over x plus 2 and the x minus 2. So what I said is that this term needs to be multiplied by the x minus 2 bracket. So I'm going to multiply that by the numerator. I'm going to multiply the numerator. Say 1 multiplies the bracket x minus 2, because that's what's missing for the denominator to look like the LCD. And you will do the same thing here. You multiply this by x, because that's what's missing here by the denominator, for that denominator to look like the LCD. And then what you do, number 4, is put all the numerators under the LCD. So I will say that, well, here I have the numerator x minus 2 plus the numerator x. All of those are put under one denominator, which is the LCD, x bracket x plus 2, x minus 2. And that's how you will do these questions. So we have a lot of questions we're gonna do, probably have like 9. I will follow the rules that I have just taught you, and we are gonna practice together. So let's start with the first one. So for the first one, we see we have two terms, and you have a denominator here 3 and a denominator here 6. So as we said from our rule is we need to check whether the denominators can be factorized, and a 3 and a 6 cannot be factorized. So number 2, we say find the LCD by looking at the denominators of all terms. So we need to say, well, the LCD in the situation is going to be here. We have a 3. For the 6, you also have a 3 and a 2, because then 3 times 2 is 6. So for here, you have a 3 and you have a 2. So we're going to not write the 3 again, but we're going to write the 2. So actually, the LCD is 6. Then you ask yourself, how can I turn this 3 into a 6? I need to multiply by 2. So you multiply here at the top by 2, and this is already looking like the LCD, so we do nothing to it. So this is going to be 2 times 2 is going to be 2 times 2 is going to be 4x all over. So that's the numerator, 4x plus 1. Remember, now you need to put the numerators under the LCD. Plus 1 over 6, which is the LCD. Right. Now, from here, there's nothing more that you can actually do. We combine the fractions, and that's it. Now, number 2. We'll say here the LCD, we need to look at all the denominators, which is only 2. This is the only denominator you have. So the LCD is 2. That means that the numerators must be multiplied by 2. So this term will be multiplied by 2, because I need to multiply its denominator by 2 for that denominator to look like the LCD. So I'll multiply this numerator by 2, multiply here by 2. I don't multiply this term by 2 because the denominator already looks like the LCD. So the numerators is going to be 2 plus 2a. Then this is going to be minus 2a minus 1. Just put that in brackets all over the LCD, which is just 2. Now, why did I put that in brackets? I put that in brackets because the negative still has to multiply with these terms. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'll say I have 2 plus 2a, multiply the negative inside to get minus 2a, multiply that inside to get positive 1, divide all of this by 2. These are like terms, and they cancel each other. 2 minus 2 is 0. 2 plus 1 is 3. So the final answer is 3 over 2. Now I check again number 3. For number 3, we go through the rules like, can I factorize the denominator? I can't factorize this. I can't factorize that. Then you ask yourself, can I maybe find the LCD? Then you say, well, the LCD will then be x, because I can see an x here, and the bracket x plus 1, because I see the bracket x plus 1. All right. So for those who might be confused, firstly, you cannot factorize these together. You can't say there's an x here and there's an x here, so I'll factor out x. No. You look at this denominator separately and you ask yourself, can I factorize anything here? If you can't factorize anything, then it doesn't factorize. You look at this individually, this denominator individually, and you ask yourself, can you factorize? If you can't factorize, then you can't factorize that. So that's why I said we can't factorize the denominators. Then you have to find your LCD. Now, when finding your LCD, you have to look at what is available here. And what's available here is an x. So you write down the x. And what's available here is an x plus 1. I know we are writing an x again, but the difference here is that we have x as a separate term. Okay, so you have to write down, we have the bracket x plus 1. For example, if I had a different scenario, let's say 2 over x, let's say plus 5 over, let's say 2x, for example. Now I'll say the LCD is going to be x because we see an x here. By this denominator, I'll say there's a 2 because that x is already written. So the difference between this and what I did here at the top is that here the x is one term, while here the x is two terms. So that's why I did not say, well, there's an x, I'm not going to write it again. I wrote it because now it's two terms. We have the term x plus 1, and we don't have the term x plus 1 here. We only have the term x here. And for this one, you don't have the term x. So that's why we write the LCD like we did. So just hopefully you understand that this is how you find the LCD in this situation. Okay, now we'll say, well, that means that I need to take this term and multiply it with whatever is missing from its denominator to look like the LCD. So this LCD of x misses the bracket x plus 1. So I'm going to multiply that bracket over here. Then I'll say this denominator here misses the x. So I'm going to multiply the numerator by x. So I'm going to have something like 2 bracket x plus 1 plus 5 multiply the x. Take all those numerators, put them underneath the LCD, which is x bracket x plus 1. That's what you need to do. Right, now you simplify the top part. I should add the rule number 5 is to simplify the numerator. That's what you have to do. So I'm going to multiply out the brackets to get 2x plus 2 plus 5x all over. You do not simplify or multiply out the denominator. You leave it as it is. So that's rule number 6. Make sure you take note. The denominator, the LCD, you just leave it as it is. You don't multiply it out. Okay, so we're only simplifying now the numerator. So we say 2x plus 5x is going to give us 7x plus 2 all over x bracket x plus 1. Now at this point, you always check whether you can still factorize the numerator in such a way that it cancels with something in the denominator. If you can't factorize, then that's our answer. But if you can factorize, check whether factorizing will help you to cancel something here by the denominator. If it doesn't, don't factorize. Right, number 4. So for number 4, again, we ask ourselves, can we factorize the denominators? No, we can't. So now we have to find the LCD. So we go ahead and we find the LCD. LCD is equal to, now I'm going to say that in this first term, we have 2x plus 1 to the power of 2. So that's what we have. Now in this other bracket, or in this other denominator, you have the bracket 2x plus 1, but that's already here by the denominator. So we're not going to write that one out. So I'll say, well, this term's denominator already looks like that. But this term's denominator does not look like that. I still have to multiply by another bracket 2x plus 1 here by the denominator. But what you do at the bottom, you must do at the top as well. So let me just write down this one step for you guys, those who are confused. So you're going to say this is 4 over bracket 2x plus 1 squared. We have a minus, so minus x plus 1. I put that in brackets, and I put this in bracket as 2x plus 1. Then I say that the denominator still has to be multiplied by 2x plus 1 for it to look like that, because multiplying by 2x plus 1 is going to give us the bracket 2x plus 1 squared. Okay, so I still have to multiply by that here. So what you do at the bottom, you would do at the top. So that's where my summary comes from. I tell you that you have to check that this denominator or this term's denominator still needs to be multiplied by the 2x plus 1, the bracket 2x plus 1. So we know that it still has to be multiplied by that. What you actually have to concentrate on is multiplying the numerator by that bracket. So I'm going to say, well, now I have 4, which is that denominator. Now I'm putting all the denominators underneath the LCD. I'm going to have 4 minus bracket x plus 1 to x plus 1. That's what we have. And I'm going to divide this all over the LCD, which is just the bracket 2x plus 1 to the power of 2. So then now we just simplify the numerator, and simplifying the numerator, I'm going to say, well, this is 4 minus. Now I'm going to multiply out these brackets, and that answer I'm going to put in brackets, and you'll see now. So I say this multiply that is going to give us 2x squared. X times 1 is going to give us positive x. 1 times 2x is going to give us 2x. 1 times 1 is going to give us 1 all over the bracket 2x plus 1 to the power of 2. Now what I want to do here is I want to simplify these like terms real quick. So I'm going to do that. I will say this is 4 minus the bracket 2x squared. Then this is going to give us positive 3x plus 1. Simplifying those like terms. Divide this by the LCD, which we do not multiply out. You don't multiply out the denominator. Right. Now the reason why I put all of this in brackets is because this negative, whenever you have two brackets, just like we had over here, two brackets multiplying each other out, and there's a negative in front, the answer to that multiplication you must just put in brackets, because this negative will still have to multiply inside with all those terms. So then now multiplying that inside, I'm going to get 4 minus 2x squared, multiplying the negative n, minus 3x minus 1. Then we have to divide all of this by the LCD, which is 2x plus 1 to the power of 2. Right, now I'm going to continue here. I'll say the final answer is going to be minus 2x squared minus 3x. Then I'm going to say 4 minus 1 is going to be positive 3, because those are like terms. All over 2x plus 1 to the power of 2. And this is the final answer that we shall get here. All right. So let's continue now to question number 5. For question number 5, we also ask ourselves, can we factorize the denominators? No, you can't. So find the LCD. So we find the LCD, and remember 6 can be rewritten as 2 times 3. So instead of picturing as a 6 here, picture a 2 times 3. Now we say the LCD, there's a 3 here. So I put a 3 here in my LCD. There's a 2 here. I put a 2 here in my LCD. There's a 2 here, but I already have a 2. There's a 3 here, but I already have a 3. So the LCD is 6. So that means that I want to make sure that each denominator is actually 6. So I will say this first term, what must I multiply 3 with so that it looks like 6? It becomes 6. I need to multiply this 3 by this 2 to get 6. So I know that I need to do that for the 3 at the bottom. I will focus on multiplying the top part by 2. Now here, for this second term, I want to multiply the 2 by the 3 so that it becomes 6. So I'm going to multiply here at the top by 3. Then I say, well, this is already 6, so I do nothing to its numerator. So then we get the bracket. We have 2 bracket x minus 3 minus 3 bracket x minus 2 plus x plus 1. I'm writing all the numerators now. Now I put all the numerators underneath one denominator, which is 6, which is the LCD. Now simplify the top part. I'll multiply in the 2. Multiplying the 2 in, I'm going to get 2x minus 6. And I'm going to get minus 3x plus 6. Then I'm going to get plus x plus 1. Now I only have like terms at the top. So I want to get rid of, simplify the like terms. Now I'm going to say, well, this is a minus 6 and a positive 6. They're going to cancel out. Minus 6 plus 6 is 0. Then I say this is 2x minus 3x is minus x. Plus x is going to give me 0. Then I'm going to get these guys canceling out as well. So this final answer is going to be 1 over 6 because you'll be left with a 1 at the top. Right. Now let's do number 6. Number 6, I'm actually going to rewrite it for those who don't actually see what's going on here. You have 2 plus 1 over x divides 1 over x squared. That's what you have. Now we have to simplify this. In order to simplify it, you first have to make sure that the numerator is simplified. So we have a fraction here. So what you want to do is combine the fraction. So basically, picture having 2 plus 1 over x and having to, combine this fraction. Except this is just one part of the sum now. Okay, so let's do that together. So I'll say, well, combining that fraction, I'll say that I can't factorize this denominator, but I can find the LCD here at the top. The LCD is obviously going to be x because that's the only denominator here over by the numerator section. I know. All right. So we're going to say LCD is equal to x. Now you'll say, well, I need to multiply this term by x for it to look like the LCD. So I'll say, well, now I'm going to have 2 multiply that x, give us 2x, plus that numerator is 1. Put all of those numerators under the LCD. That's why you were trying to find the LCD. Now divide all of this by what we had there at the bottom, like that. Right. Now, when it's like this, it looks a bit complicated. So I will rewrite it to 2x plus 1 over x divided by 1 over x squared. Now like this, you remember from the previous lesson that division changes to multiplication. So you're going to have 2x plus 1 all over x multiply. Then we have to swap these around. X squared all over 1. Now remember the cancelling method. It says that this denominator has an x, cancels out with one of the x's here so that you're left with 1x there. Now we say at the bottom you only have 1s, so 1 times 1 is just 1, and anything over 1 is just that, because remember, like 10x over 1 is just the same as 10x. So now I know that I'm only left with the numerator, and for the numerator I have the bracket 2x plus 1, and that multiplies the x that was left. That's why I put this in bracket, because all of this numerator needs to multiply with that x. Now you need to multiply the x inside, distributive property. So you're going to get 2x times x is going to be 2x squared plus x, because 1 times x is x. And that's your final answer here. Right, let's try another question. So from now on, we will have to first factorize the denominators. So you check, can I factorize these denominators? You say, well, here we have an x minus 3, and here we have a 3 minus x. They look alike, except that the signs are swapped around. The 3 is negative, that side, and the 3 is positive on the other side. So you want to take out a negative. So that's factorizing. So we're going to say, well, this is x over x minus 3. I leave it as it is. But then I take out a negative here. If you take out a negative, you have to change the sign. So you're going to say it's negative 2 over x minus 3. Now the signs of the 3 and the x's have changed, and I just wrote the x first so that it looks exactly like that. Now I will say that the denominators here are actually the same. When the denominators are the same, I don't have to work out the LCD because it's just this. The denominators are the same. So I'll just take the numerators, which is x minus 2, put them over one denominator, which is just x minus 3. Right, let's try another one. For this question, we have something similar here. We have the x's, right, being opposite signs, and we've got the numbers being opposite signs. So the very first thing is I would like to take out a negative first. So I'll leave this first term as it is, x minus 3, and I take out a negative, changing this sign to negative x plus 1 all over x squared minus 9. So we took out a negative, and when you take out a negative, you have to change the signs of those. And as you can see, the signs change and the sign of the term also changed. Now I notice x squared minus 9 is a difference of squares, so I'm going to factorize that. So I'm going to have 2x all over the bracket x minus 3 minus x plus 1 all over the two brackets. We're going to have a x plus 3 and an x minus 3. Now you'll say, well, we understand that this bracket and that bracket, they are in common. So when you write your LCD, you're going to say LCD is equal to x minus 3, which is in common, and whatever is left, which is x plus 3. So x plus 3 is left out there. Right, so that's how we find our LCD. Or you could have also said, we see a bracket x minus 3, then you write that down. We see a bracket x plus 3, you write that down. We see a bracket x minus 3, but it's already there, so you don't have to write it down again. All right, now we continue and we say, well, this term needs the bracket x plus 3, the denominator here. So remember, this denominator needs this bracket. You need to multiply that by that so that it looks like the LCD. But this one already looks like the LCD, so I'm not going to multiply this denominator with anything. So since I have to multiply this denominator by that for it to look like the LCD, I will do the same thing to its numerator. So this numerator, I'm going to multiply by x plus 3. This numerator, I will leave it because its denominator already looks like the LCD. So I'm going to write out that I'm going to have now 2x multiplying the bracket x plus 3. Then I take the minus the bracket x plus 1, which I do nothing to it. I write that in brackets because the negative still has to multiply inside still. Put all of that over the LCD, which is x minus 3, x plus 3. Now we have to simplify the numerator. So simplify the numerator. You're going to get 2x times x is going to give us 2x squared. 2x times 3 is going to give us 6x. Then multiplying the negative inside is just going to give us minus x minus 1. And we leave the denominator as it is, x minus 3, x plus 3. Okay. Then we simplify a bit more because we have some like terms over here. Just make sure you notice that these are like terms. Now we're just gonna bring it home. We're gonna say this is 2x to the power of 2. 6 minus 1 is gonna be positive 5x minus 1. And we have to divide this by the denominator, which is x minus 3, x plus 3. Right, so many times you just have to make sure if the trinomial doesn't factorize, because if it factorizes, and it has a bracket x plus 3 or x minus 3, it will cancel with one of these. Okay, let's say for example I was able to factorize the top part. I factorize it to something like 2x plus 1, and I have a x minus 3 all over x minus 3 and x plus 3. Now I will have to just cancel these out to be left with these as my final answer, right? But it doesn't factorize to this. So let's move on. Then the last question for this lesson, number 9. For number 9, we obviously see that the denominators, they factorize. So let's factorize them first. I'm going to have a x all over. Factorizing this, I'll just do that a little bit on the side to find my factors. So I have 2x and I have x. I need to make 11. So obviously I'm going to have a 5 and a 1 to give us x and 10x. And they will add to give us 11x. So my factors are going to be 2x plus 1. And I'm going to have x plus 5 minus 5 over here. I have a 5 plus x. That's the same as this one, 5 and the x. The signs are both the same. So I'm just going to write the x first, plus 5. Take note, I am not taking out a negative. I'm just swapping the order of the terms, which is normal. You can do that in mathematics. So I'll put that in brackets. And I'll say the LCD. Now I have to find the LCD. The LCD, after you have factorized, remember to look for the LCD. So the LCD is going to be, these are in common. So they form the LCD, x plus 5. And whatever is left is going to be 2x plus 1. Now you're going to say, wow, this term already looks like the LCD. So its numerator, I'm going to leave alone. Minus 5. But this term does not look like the LCD. This denominator does not look like this. It needs that bracket 2x plus 1. So I multiply its numerator by 2x plus 1. And I put that all over the LCD, which is x plus 5 to x plus 1. Now I'm going to have to simplify the numerator. Simplifying the numerator, we're going to get something like x minus, well, this is going to be 10x. Then you multiply like that to give you minus 5. Divide all of this by the bracket of x plus 5. Then you have 2x plus 1. Now that is going to give us negative 9x. Okay, going to get negative 9x and minus 5. So x minus 10 is 1 minus 10 is minus 9. Right. Divide all of this by x plus 5, 2x plus 1.